2025 being a mixed bag around the world is the understatement of the century, and the video game world is no different, to a lesser degree. There have been some bangers coming out this year, and audiences to play those games are bigger than ever before. Games have evolved so much, even when I was just a wee little lad, and much has changed in the way that games are made, consumed, and talked about, which is cool. However, it has led to games becoming a battleground of political and topical ideologies, leaving keyboard warriors to fight their holy wars on foreign sites and spill Mountain Dew in the name of their new patron saint buzzword. It's been a crazy landscape in general that has fractured us into little Discord pockets and hug boxes. Which brings us to today's topic. Compulsion Games has been one of the more recent battlegrounds for internet warriors to fight for the souls of gamers. A small developer responsible for games such as Contrast, We Happy Few, and the newest and most impressive entry, South of Midnight, a macabre, dark folklore adventure game taking place in the Deep South. It feels like a bizarro universe in which Laika made games instead of movies. Published under the Xbox Game Studios banner and released on April 8, 2025, one of the game's most unfortunate name draws out of the hat has been its affiliation with Sweet Baby Inc., a narrative consulting company that promotes diversity, inclusivity, and LGBTQ+, working on games like God of War Ragnarok, Gotham Knights, and a pretty large category of games. They've been subject to a lot of scrutiny that's not really something I'm interested in, because at the end of the day, it's the developer that has the final say. It's just unfortunate that these games have been proxies to attack them. Now, regardless on your stance on any of those topics, really, Sweet Baby Inc. feels like the cheese touch.
Stop! Good God, man! You almost got the cheese touch.
Causing people to spurg out and violently convulse on their keyboards about the rain or in the game. I don't know. The game has been fighting an uphill battle against some really unfortunate circumstances, and despite all of this, does the game hold up? And does it deserve any of the flack and be subject to a lot of the discourse? Well, I played through it, and I'm here to talk to you about it. Howdy, it's your boy, Cthulhu. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let me know if you've played South of Midnight, and let me know your thoughts. And if you haven't, let me know if you're gonna give it a try. Let's get on with the video.
Down in the Deep South, folks spin tales about the Grand Tapestry, an invisible weave holding our world together. They say the Grand Tapestry is torn by folk sorrows, and these damaged threads give rise to them evil spirits called haints.
South of Midnight follows Hazel Flood in a small town called Prospero in the Deep South. She's on a journey to rescue her mother after being swept away along with their home during a flood. Oh. Now I get it. And after some strange instances of divine intervention, a crazy spider creature kidnapping your mom, and a run-in with your Mr. Burns-esque grandmother, you awaken your powers as a weaver, a supernatural guide to mythical creatures and spirits whose pain has become so knotted up you need to unravel and fix their pain, literally and figuratively. The game has a lot of vibes from games like Alice Madness Returns and a lot of adventure games from the PS2, PS3 genre, and I mean that in the best ways. The game blends Southern folklore and Alice in Wonderland whimsy and makes some of the most inspired visuals I've seen in an incredibly macabre, surreal, and fantastic world. The premise is good, with some caveats that make me feel like this feels like it could have been a different game genre in general, other than just like a hack and slash adventure game. I like it.
Get off me.
Hey, Hazel.
Who's there?
You up here.
Where?
My salvation.
A talking fish. Nope. Ain't no way.
Now, visually this game stands out among the crowd as incredibly creative. The game tries to capture the feel of stop motion to varying degrees, and everything has so much charm and character in the environments, to the people, to the monsters, that everything feels carefully and intentionally crafted on a level I don't get too much. With the opening cutscene completely done with stop motion, the game shines the most when the stop motion effect comes through. The music is swelling, and the line delivers just right. I feel like they came across a lot of issues and weren't sure how much they could implement it in an action game. And I'm sure for an action game there are hurdles, and it would look pretty weird for the game to lose like fluidity and be super choppy in combat. Games like Guilty Gear Strive can get away with that because of how snappy everything needs to be. You can skip frames and such. And in a fighting game, there are a lot less random variables. Everything is very much in control, especially in a 1v1. But I'm not sure. I'm not a dev, and I'm sure they had a hard time with it too. I just hope next time they push this even further with their next game, because when it works, the game is incredible. The digital deluxe edition of the game comes with a behind-the-scenes video, an art book showing the process and making the intro with stop motion. Plus, it comes with a comic. Everything about this game really shows the passion the development team had making this game, and the craftsmanship is mind-blowing. If you have the time, you should check them all out, and I'll link them in the description. Down below. If you love to see how games are made, then you should grab this. So it's like below $60, so it's a really good deal. Not sponsored. LOL. Now, going into the music of this game, I'm a big fan of music, and when I'm consuming a piece of media, and the music comes to the forefront, becomes something more physical than the visuals that I see on screen, that's something I'll hold on to forever, and South of Midnight makes that their mantra. The music does something that I think is interesting, acting as sort of a narrator for the level and saying things from the heart that really there isn't enough time for it to be said. And you really get to feel that. Feel the regrets, the sorrows, the fears, their failures and triumphs. Here's some samples.
Through swampy fog, their regrets call me. Step in my boat, folks call her Jolie. Pan this ferryman
around, followed me swimming. I hope that he'd drown. He found trouble often.
Angry clouds roll on the far horizon. Sick green sky and tornadoes flying. How much longer?
The sound design is pretty good, putting a lot of thought in the music and singing aspect, making a large part of Hazel's power with choir-like music in her moves. It sounds weird, but the game gets in the way of a lot of it. The music is incredible, and I feel like the game gets in the way of the music, like it'll cut off when you get to like an echo or something like a combat, or sometimes the songs, especially during boss battles, I died a couple times because I just wanted to hear the story behind it. The game fights with a story and the music, and sometimes it loses and suffers at times because of it. But again, when the stars align, it's an incredible experience.
Hey, get out of here, you damn boo hag!
Boo what?
Yeah, I saw you jumping through the air back there. Ain't no one but a boo hag can do that. They ain't gonna steal my soul while I sleep.
Look, I'm sorry. I need a bottle.
Yeah? If you're not a boo hag, come up on this porch and prove it. I know full well you boo hags can't abide the color blue.
See? I ain't no boo hag.
Now, I think South of Midnight's biggest striking point is the gameplay. The game is structured like a typical adventure game with combat sprinkled in and a large emphasis on exploration and platforming. Hazel is armed with a myriad of Weaver weapons and the lovable psychopath/beloved stuffed animal Crouton. I fucking love that guy. He's got goblin energy and he's so fun.
Is that from our house? Crouton? I never thought I'd be so glad to see you. You're the only thing I have left of my mama. What the? I don't believe this. And this ain't even the weirdest thing I've seen today. I guess you didn't like being lost and alone either, did you? Maybe you can help me. You can scooch into small spaces I can't.
Most of your Most of your abilities have utility in both exploration and combat, with Crouton being controllable and mandatory in some light puzzles. And my overall takeaway is that everything is fine, inoffensively fine. Let's start with the positives about the game. It's finished. It's playable from beginning to end, which is something I definitely want to make a video about in the future to talk about, but for now, it's a big positive. With heavily curated level design, it really trims all of the fat to where it's super lean in gameplay, which really compacts it down to the best aspects of the game, which is just complete quality. With most games nowadays being open world, it's refreshing to play a game like this. Without gathering all the secrets on every level, you're clocking in about an average of 40 minutes a level, and if you're really pressed for time, you could probably beat the game in about like 8 hours. Now, compared to most games nowadays, it's short, but it's quality short, like a well-portioned, well-priced meal short, not like potato chip binge affair that many games have adopted. It's a double-edged sword since there's not too much replayability to the game if you're thorough, but it's a fun experience. The gameplay loop stays relatively consistent with some welcome breaks. You get to a level, unravel the past events that left a mark in the grand tapestry in an area to learn the background of the myths, the legends, and the denizens of Prospero. You get to explore the world and discover the lore. It's pretty cool. Another positive about the game is super accessible with a large amount of granularity in how you want to approach the game with a myriad of different options to set everything up. It's great. I think that's one of the criteria I have for games now is how good the menus are and how good the options are in terms of accessibility and being able to change resolutions and such. The difficulty is an interesting one. If you want to just enjoy the story, you can play the game in story mode, with combat becoming pretty easy, giving the enemies pool noodles for arms and low health, or give it a bit more of a challenge for something more difficult on Weaver difficulty. I actually liked Weaver's difficulty, but your mileage may vary. It's nice, and gives anyone who wants to play a chance to experience the game. And that's the game's biggest Achilles heel. It's aggressively inoffensive. It tries to appeal to everyone, and because of that, it makes the game fine. With environmental hazards during platforming being the main culprit for my health being knocked down, enemies are pretty generous standing there on a regular basis, just waiting patiently to get in line to get their ass beat. Sometimes they'll get a Disney fast pass and sucker punch me, but it's whatever. Because in most circumstances, I had like no fear of dying because of the giant ass healing orb that heals me back up if some miracle these sharp plushies manage to hurt me. Orb that heals me back up if some miracle these sharp plushies manage to hurt me. I feel like there's a divide. You want vets of the genre to be challenged and feel fulfilled playing the game. And you want people who love the story, love the world, and have never picked up a game before to experience something new. And I get that. And I respect that. And I'm sure there are things that I don't know that went behind closed doors or whatever dark dealings so Papa Bear Microsoft would bankroll the game, but the gameplay falls short because of it. Like, it feels like the game wants to be a movie, or it wants to be a show, or a more story-focused game, kind of like The Walking Dead, and frankly, I would love all of those. But it needs to pick a struggle. I feel the combat, it really is the sticking point. The platforming and exploration aspects are fun, and everything is really fighting the gameplay aspects, and it's kind of like a weird back and forth. When it works, it's great, and I think that it hits the mark at least 65% of the time.
Hey, Hazel, think fast. Oh, come on, Mama. We don't have room for my track shoes.
You know how expensive those things are. You best find somewhere to pack them.
And pack them light. Yeah, I know.
What'd you say?
I said, and pack them light.
Pack a bag, then pack it light. Hey, pack your bags, then pack them light.
The story is great, and the writing is great. I have a couple of things that I want to talk about, and I'm going to talk about the world, the opening, and the first chapter. So, no crazy spoilers, but light spoilers. So, if you don't want any of that, go here. All right, so the game does a great job of establishing character relations right away between Hazel and her mother, Lacey. They love each other, but it's strained. After Hazel's father's passing, her mother is also keeping Bunny, Hazel's grandmother, at arm's length. There's tension there. Lacey loves Hazel, but she's cagey, and Hazel's frustrated. They have a falling out and establish that things aren't great right now. They do a really good job of establishing character relations so fast. It's good. And now that I kind of put it in my mind, it's also kind of like really cool that it's also during a storm, because it's like symbolic of like the turmoil going on between them. I didn't think about that till now. Holy shit. Also, I like Trey. Trey's pretty cool. Now, things go from bad to worse when the storm knocks the legs off their trailer, sweeping their home away, with Lacey in it. A sweet chase scene leaves Hazel getting knocked off the house, and she's saved by a mysterious force. It's a neat way to be a bit meta, but it doesn't break the immersion. Deciding that she needs help, Hazel decides to go off to seek help from her miserly grandmother, who apparently controls FEMA. She probably wanted the weather machine, but lost a bidding war to the Illuminati or something I don't know. And on the way, you encounter a giant spider creature sweeping the home up.
What was that?
It's really not Hazel's night, huh? Anyways, little guy's tuckered out. Thinks, I can save my mom in the morning. Blacks out, wakes up in her grandmother's room.
Y'all gon' make me.
The trailer.
Decides to sneak around. She then breaks into her grandma's torture attic and finds some badass knitting needles. And after some crash courses from Southern Force Go, she finds that she's a weaver. Spiritual guides that can mend tears in the grand tapestry, which is essentially like, I guess, the fabric of the universe. She can mend tears in the grand tapestry. She also has the capability to fight haints, which are essentially strands of the grand tapestry that form monsters. One of the ways that distortions in the grand tapestry form are through stigma, which is basically trauma that warps the grand tapestry, which if you leave it alone long enough, it forms a knot, and then that knot becomes a tangle. And another variation we'll go over in like a little bit. That's the opening. I think it's cool. It establishes our characters in a low point and a clear crossing of the threshold so that we can change that. It's competent writing and it's solid. All right, I'm going to talk about the first level, so go here if you want to skip it. So, going into the first real level, we encounter our mentor figure in the form of a lost catfish called Catfish. Easy enough. Being death gripped by our first real obstacle, Benji, one of the first of many mythical creatures. Now, mythical creatures are individuals or animals who are chosen by the land to be bestowed power. Don't ask me how. Usually, if it's like if someone got a real bad deal in life, and Benji, who, holy shit, got nailed inside of a tree because he was developmentally challenged and his brother thought it would fix everything to murder him. Damn. Your job is to unravel the echoes, discover the source of the pain, undo the tangle, and fix the pain Benji is in by untangling his wound, which is similar to a tangle, but I guess it manifests on people and creatures. Fun fact. So, I had to do some weaving myself to get all of that kind of background lore together. It makes sense, and it's a cool way to explain the war. The world, it's just a little disorganized, which, hey, you got me, baby. Don't worry about it. It's cool. It's still all available in like a little gallery, so that's nice, actually, to give you enough reading material to kind of put it all together yourself. This is such a fun level. It's packed. It's an abandoned Cajun community in which most of its inhabitants have left. There's history, and all that's left is Benji's brother who feels guilty. It's incredible. It feels lived in, and it balances deep South lore with that fantastical Alice in Wonderland lore with giant plants scattered throughout. The game is great because this is just a taste. And as you go, things get more and more surreal and more fantastical, and it's so creative and it's so cool, bro. At the end of the day, South of Midnight is good. It feels like it tries to tell an interesting story that's tied to okay gameplay. I recommend it. It's a lot of fun, the story is great, well written, and it's short enough not to take up a bunch of your time. It was made with great care and incredible craftsmanship, but it really tries to be a game for everyone, and that hurts it. But it's enjoyable just for the story, and the collector's edition gives you much more of a bang for your buck. It comes with a soundtrack, behind the scenes, and a comic for under $60. It's incredible. And if it's about 12 hours if you try to collect, 12 to 14 hours if you try to collect everything, and that's like, what? Under like what, $3.75 an hour? I'll do the math later. The game's received quite a bit of flack, and a lot of it has nothing to do with the game. And I hope people can give the game a try and really kind of look at it under a more critical lens for what it is and not what's around it. And I'd hate for all that stuff to get in the way of someone who might actually watch this video and give it a try. I appreciate you all for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button down below if you've tried South of Midnight or if you might be willing to try. If not, I'd be interested to hear why. And while you're at it, hit the subscribe button. I've been Cthulhu. Take care. Bye-bye.